Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
All right, please note that the language and ideas presented on the show might not be suitable for everyone. If you're under 18, make sure your mom isn't around. If you're over 80, why is your mom around?
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Okay, the biggest problem with our city, of course, is housing. Housing, pollution, people touching each other in public, and of course, traffic lights not working, broken traffic rules, roads which have to be repaired, people who don't have normal hygiene, and above all, too many relatives. But we'll only deal with one thing with Sunny Bijlani because he's into real estate. He's going to tell us how to make this a better place to live in by living in his flats. He's got plenty, apparently. And one or two of them are for sale at 20% discount.
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
All right, a bit of a problem with situations in Mumbai going out of control. I mean C-Link, Worli, Bandra C-Link. I'm sick of those guys who man it. They must understand that when they stop and give us a ticket, they have to do it in 1 or 2 seconds. I can't understand why they suddenly have a conversation amongst themselves when they're about to pass you the ticket. So the other day I asked the guy, I said, sir, itna jaldi, thoda jaldi kar sakta kaam? He looks at me for a second and says, doop mein nahi ho sakta. It's called Cyrus Says.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Okay, here on Cyrus Says, we've got Sunny Bijlani. And the word Sunny, of course, is a terrible word to have now in Mumbai at the moment.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, but man, it's just getting worse and worse. I was thinking if my name or pet name is Sunny, it's like, God, no more Sunny. Too much Sunny in this country.
So, that's the price we paid to be the second child.
Yeah,
so my parents put all the effort. They thought of the name. They, waited for 4 years. They were already exhausted when I was born. They were like, I don't think I can use that.
So what's your elder brother's name?
My older sister's name is Sheetal.
Sheetal. Nice, normal name. And
normal name.
Is Sunny your real name? Or?
That's my real name. I have to roam around in my own country with my passport, so that's how bad it is.
So S-U-N-N-Y is your name? It's not Sandeep into Sunny or Sunil into Sunny or anything?
So my bank never took me seriously. They took three months to give me my credit card because they thought that I had another name. So.
Yeah, man, that's ridiculous, but it's nice. Now you sound Italian to me suddenly. Hey, Sonny, what's up? But the good thing is, when Sunny travels, it'll never be a problem. It's a kind of name that any culture will pronounce easily.
At least the name gets right.
Yeah. But Bijlani will be tough.
So
Bijlani also sounds Italian, so you're fine there. Yeah. No relation to Sangeeta Bijlani. That's a different name.
I wish I had. No.
Okay. What the hell does that mean? But she's your relative. You can't have any relations after that. Under Indian law.
It would have opened probably doors for me in the cricket
to meet other fancy actresses. I get your point. All right, Sunny, this show is all about talking about you and celebrating who you are. When I say celebrating, I do the celebrating, so you don't have to worry. What's interesting about you, we'll set it up right at the beginning, is that there's so many people into... This city is about real estate. All right? Almost everybody and their father is a builder. Or a poor victim of a builder's waiting for the flat to turn up. I'll come to that later. Because that's a lovely story which will make everybody happy, the compassion of the builder. But you are a different story altogether because you are making different kinds of houses. You deliver on time. And so why don't you just take us through this whole model?
So what we primarily have projects in Bombay and Pune. We're in the luxury residential segment. 80 to 85% of our portfolio is residential. So what we typically do is we either buy greenfield land and construct, or
greenfield land.
So we buy land, buy land and construct.
Because I've not seen any greenfields in Mumbai or Pune.
That's the lingo we use. Or we redevelop societies. So there are older buildings that you strike deals with the society and you give them space for the space that they're using.
You throw out all the poor guys.
We call it upgrading their lifestyle.
I think so. I don't know why people are feeling bad. Sunny has come with 2 big guys in banyans. Sorry, Varmas, you have to leave. Yeah.
So that doesn't happen anymore. So it's all very legal. In fact, we are most times the victim because out of say 100 society members, there are 10 or 15 that try to blackmail the developer to get something extra and bargain over and above what everyone else gets, and then you have to go to courts and drag them out.
You once you decide to pay them a certain amount of money, 10 guys call you up separately and say, we want more money only for ourselves.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's...
So then you have them shot. What's the right thing to do?
No, we don't...
Drowned in rivers.
I don't have a license gun yet, but we have to go to court and we have to apply...
And that takes years.
Yeah, now it is not. The courts have very clear precedents.
So they've signed some sort of MOU. There's some legal document in place.
It's called a development agreement. So it's registered, you pay stamp duty.
So they've all signed it, including the guys who are now wanting more.
So what happens is the society is governed by a resolution. So a resolution is passed. So out of, say, the 100% majority, 70% have to approve and sign the resolution, and then you can go ahead. The balance 30%, if they have to agree with the majority.
It's like the Lok Sabha.
Yeah.
You've got to get a majority and then you move on. So they have to toe the line is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Out of those 30%, if they have not actually been part of the ones who've agreed, they then try to blackmail you, is it?
Yeah, so they try to delay the process. But if you go to court, obviously there is some sort of an expense involved.
Right.
There is time taken, and you've already invested some monies, and there is interest cost that's adding up month on month. So it takes about 6 to 8 months, if you're lucky, to get through in court. In fact, we recently, last year, got a judgment before we could take off the project. So the rule says that the 30% cannot object, and they have to go with 70%. And but as luck has
it, 69, pardon the pun, 69% and 31. How's the numbers then?
No, so then you have to,
it's got to be 70.
You have to reach 70. You're not eligible to go to court to ask the balance to evict then.
Okay.
So you have to get 70%.
Okay, I want to just understand your model, which is different. I think that's why we've got you here, honestly, because the whole idea is that at the moment, builders are getting a really bad name, not just in Mumbai. For God's sake, no. I'm just following a case in Noida, which is in the news right now this week, where lots of these middle-class households who pay exorbitant money and expect delivery by, say, 2012, which they will get at 2022 at half the size. This is going on all the time. You're not like that at all. You are making small, ready-to-fit houses, is it?
No, so we are in fact into luxury housing. So we do a lot of work in Kharbandra, Pali Hill, Chembur, Lokhandwala. So we've done a lot of work in Powai as well. So the size of the houses obviously varies. You look at the market, you look at what's palatable to the market and what's going to get absorbed, and you make that. Primarily, I'll tell you what our success story has been is we've always bought clean land. We've not got into litigated land. We've not been...
So by clean land, you mean Gujarat? Again, I'm in Mumbai, Maharashtra. I haven't seen any of this.
No. So there are obviously land parcels that
so
are...
by clean land, you mean clean legally or clean actually hygienically?
No, legally. No land is clean hygienically.
Yeah, exactly.
Till you develop it.
Not since 1921 or something. Yeah.
And we have been averse to taking debt. So what
is debt?
Bank debt.
Oh, okay.
So the bank debt that's there on the books and balance sheets of most developers today is finding them in some sort of a trouble to service cash flows.
A long version of this would be Vijay Mallya's situation, where sort of relied on banks to build a business.
So I'll tell you, I don't want to comment on that, but in case of developers...
In case he comes back and invests in your company.
No, so in case of developers, what's really happened is the business cycle has gone wrong. There is no intent. I mean, there obviously would be one or two in the pack, but in most cases there's no intent not to repay. But the business cycle has gone wrong. So you bet on a certain assumption that this would be my sale. I borrow this much, with this kind of sale I'll be able to service it. But sales don't happen because of the economic environment, and then cash flows become really restricted, and hence servicing debt becomes a problem. And that's when you have NPAs, you have non-performing assets. But with real estate, as compared to power, infrastructure, at least in real estate you have an asset to bank on. The bank can liquidate that and
take it back.
Take it back in some way. But with infra and with power,
Pamela Anderson did this with her breasts. She did. So that, if she fails, the bank could take the breast back. It's true. And they took one breast back. I know, because our Baywatch initially didn't take off. They had to return a breast. It was very embarrassing. But let's not take away from the real estate market, which is as interesting. And the same figures.
We developers don't have those kind of assets.
Yeah, you're bad luck, brother. Somewhere in Powai is drawn in the shape of Pamela Anderson. Apartment A, apartment B, we're working on C, but it's unnatural. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying, so you basically you want clean land, you don't want to be in debt, or this cycle of debt that some developers get into. And but your models are not. So I was on the assumption that everything is small in terms of housing. No. You don't make more than 5-story and 6-story buildings.
No. In fact, we've made buildings with 20 plus stories. So
why I ask you that is because half the time we read in the papers, especially in Mumbai now, that the builders got permission for FSI to X amount. He's gone X plus 5 amount, and then they're raising it and destroying the building, etc. Every third day there's a story in the paper like that.
So I'll tell you what, this happened well before 2011. In 2011, there was a very clear rule that defined what you can construct, and you could not go beyond that.
Right.
So whatever issues that you're hearing about are buildings that were approved and constructed prior to 2011. But from there on, there's been a significant change, and the municipal commissioner at that time made a change whereby you could clearly define what everyone can construct. Earlier, if you had good offices, you could probably get certain things sanctioned in your plan, which I could not, and hence you could bid more for the land. Because you bid more for the land, you would obviously try to construct a lot more, part of which is approved, part of which that you got sanctioned but was outside of the FSI norm. FSI is what you can really construct on land. But now it's all very, very clear and restricted. There are no grey areas. So what you read about is the sins that we committed prior to 2011
Okay, so
that are paying for
let's do a historical perspective. Let's go back to Sunny's early days in the business. How did you guys start? What was your first project? Take us back a bit.
Okay, so the company was started way back in 1982. So my father and his school friend started the business together.
What are you saying? Which school is this?
I really don't know which school. I think it was in St. Teresa's.
Okay. And they were friends, buddies from childhood.
Yeah, they were buddies. So they both had individually their own family shops. Where they used to sit at the shop, and my father got really bored sitting at the shop.
I got to tell you, interrupt you for a second here. I know lots of guys who own shops, and every second generation guy in a shop is like, I hate this place.
Yeah.
They sit at a gala doing nothing all day, and all they do is dream about another job. And I want to be a shop owner.
So he left the shop, and he and his friend, they bought a small plot of land. And
where was that plot? The first plot?
This plot was in Mira Road.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they bought this plot of land.
At that time there was road, not just Mira. It's a different world.
So they landed up making a 3 or 4 story building with about 12 flats.
So they have no building, experience.
They had zero experience.
And they just got some people and put together a building,
Exactly.
a small building.
So now they put the building. Because I remember he telling me that he'd taken a loan of 1.5 lakh. From his friend.
But that's a lot of money in the early 80s.
Yeah, in 1980s. 1.5 lakh. He had about 50,000 of his own capital.
Yeah.
He took a loan of 1.5 lakh. And his friend, I think, was better off than he was. So he had 2 lakhs of his own. Yeah. So with 4 lakhs, they bought the land, made the building. They thought that when they're making...
they already bought the land, they constructed in 4 lakhs.
Yeah. So they...
This is my dream project, man. If I can do this today, I'm done. I retire. Can you imagine? 4 bedroom, four floors in Mira Road proper, in 4 lakhs. You sell about 12 flats and you're done. Oof.
So they were hoping that they would be able to sell in the pendency of construction. They could not, obviously. The building now was ready, and they were really stressed out because my dad obviously was more stressed out because he had to repay his friend back. And one day he was sitting on his site, and this Air India manager came to the site and spoke to him and said, "We're looking for about 12 flats for a guest house for Air India." And
right, in Mira Road there are plenty of these Air India.
For our employees. So what do you have stock? And my dad, obviously at that time, they were in some serious shit, and he said, you know what, I'll have to check because we've sold a lot of it, and I don't know whether I'll be able to have the requirement that you need. Anyways, let me just check. And
great businesses are built on lies. Yeah.
let me just have a meeting with your board, and we'll take it from there. And then he organized a presentation, and all the senior employees of Air India were in one small banquet hall, and he went and made a presentation on his own.
With only one building?
With one building.
And they wanted more?
No, they just wanted, the Air India employees wanted 12 flats in one building.
Okay.
And that's what he had.
That's exactly
what he had.
Yeah.
And, and
so he said, luck hai aapke paas, and I do have.
So he was just playing, hard to get, and he went for that presentation, made the presentation, and he got 12 checks on that day, and that's how they started off.
Is that a true story? That sounds like a Hindi film now for a second.
It does.
All the figures are, it's like karma, man.
When he told me, when I thought it was a lie, I confirmed with his partner, and that's how I...
And it was 12 flats. And Mira Road, which is where they base a lot of the employees in the Air India culture in Mumbai.
So I guess when destiny, plays out, it does play out.
So that was the first.
That was
then they didn't look back.
And then, they started on doing more projects in that area, and then they started coming towards the western suburbs, closer here. So initially, for me, I didn't want to join the business at all.
So when you got out of college, what was your plan? What were you going to do?
I in fact lied to him when I sat on campus for an interview. Right. And he was hoping that I told him the last date when I'm going to graduate. And I think for the longest time, he didn't even know which college I was in. So
which college were you in?
Jai Hind.
Oh, you're a South Bombay college boy, next to me. Very good.
So,
and not to mention Sindhi college. So you just walked in.
But in my defense, I didn't apply in Sindhi quota. I got an open merit. Anyway.
Rubbish. Come on. You expect me to believe that? You think your surname doesn't carry into what or what?
So I sat on campus for placement interviews, and I got into this company called Ambit RSM. RSM obviously got sold later to Genpact, and I was a risk consultant.
Right.
Where I was doing process audit, and I was doing risk consultancy for a lot of Tata Group companies, and as an analyst. So that's what I did for some time before.
And your dad was like disappointed that you didn't come.
For 1 month, we had a real serious spat at home, and he was upset because he thought.
What did your mom think?
She was indifferent, honestly. I made $15,000 to start off in those days. And obviously he laughed at me. He thought that I'm wasting my time. I'm making 15,000.
You're with the Tatas, and he's laughing at you. What the hell, yeah?
So I was actually with Ambit, but Ambit
you were
was
working on the accounts.
Tata was my account.
Yeah.
So obviously he laughed at me. He thought that what this guy is not going to make
This is
it.
like the reverse of the normal parent syndrome. No?
Yeah.
Boy's got a proper job with a reputed firm with big accounts and starting, whatever, salary is not important. You're starting in the right place.
Correct.
And he's actually saying, what the hell are you doing with your life, waster?
Exactly. So he went around telling people that, this guy is, he's got this opportunity to come and manage this business, play the bigger game.
But the boom was happening. This is the boom time.
So then, and now when people talk to him, the advice that he gives that, ensure that your kid doesn't join the business immediately. He should have professional experience. He should work outside. That's what I did with my son.
Did I mention Ambit RSM? Very good company to intern with. Uske baad dekh lo.
So, yeah.
So no, come on. Now take us to the moment where you switched. Because now it's almost like you guys are at loggerheads and having fights at home.
Yeah.
So when did you, and you're definitely, your career is somewhere else. You've decided.
Yeah. No, so I knew that at some point probably I might just look at the business, but I wanted to, and the reason I gave him is that what if tomorrow you and me don't get along and we can't work together? Correct. I need to know that I can go out there and fend for myself and, at least get food on the table for myself without you. He obviously found that absurd. And that's why I did what I did, and I also liked the job, honestly. So it was a couple of years into my job. And
I think there were nice young girls in Ambit RSM that you could hang out with. And,
I couldn't tell him that.
And your dad had this company with his 3 bloody boring friends and their relatives, and they're all cousins and this and that. So there was just no incentive.
So
is that a possibility?
Yeah.
And has it changed?
But I've tried to recruit fun people, honestly.
I can imagine. Yeah.
That's the first thing I did. So the first change, in fact, I made is I got the second and fourth Saturday off. We had a 6-day week, and the first change I made is I had the second and fourth Saturday off. So obviously,
another disappointment for your dad.
I was light initially,
yeah,
and now I don't know. It's been now 10 years, I guess. So I then switched over because I saw that there is potential for me to go there and value add.
Did something happen? Was there like an incident that made you want to switch over? Did you have a bad day at work, or did your dad say something?
No.
Did you watch Sharabi together and suddenly you said, okay, let's do this?
No. So obviously we had launched a project in Powai. My father and his partner had launched a project in Powai back then, which was about 2.5 million square feet. It was called Lake Homes, and the project did really well. And I realized that after talking to him, and I visited the site and the office a few times, I realized that the way that the company was working and the processes and the systems were really dated, and there was no substantial, risk control platform for the company to grow beyond. There was no scale. There was no strategic.
So you're looking from your expertise point of view.
Yeah. So I was the only reason why I thought I would want to join this business is if I can go there and value add and make something out of
give
this
something from your side
on my own.
Yeah.
So from wherever I start, for me was ground zero. From there on, if I can build, then that's something that will give me a kick. So that's what I saw, and I saw that I can play a bigger game, and I can come here and look at more than what I was doing at Ambit.
So how did that feel? What did you? How you went and told him? How did it go?
Yeah, so I
had a drink.
One day, in fact, we were having a drink. One day, at home, and I told him that I think that I would probably want to give this a shot. I don't know whether I'll do this forever.
You must have been damn happy.
Yeah. So no, at that time he was giving me like that grin there. Oh, finally you want to look at this.
Samajh gaya.
So then he said...
Then the awkward question. Dad, what will be the terms and conditions? What is my salary going to be? Oh, did that come up?
So, no, that didn't come up, honestly. I didn't even think of a
Good
salary.
Sindhi father. He didn't even mention it.
And
did I come to work?
So then I, in fact, then was in Pune for about a year. I was on site looking at how the RMC is mixed, looking at how the site functions. And then I realized that being on site and constructing on site is not what I'm really kicked about. Then I came to Bombay. And I used to just quietly sit in meetings, just look at him talk and understand. Because what he used to do is buy land. And strike land deals, strike deals with societies with 30, 40, 80 members. So it's that kind of deal making that excited me. We were negotiating with 50 people at one time, and obviously
but that must be madness. I can imagine.
So it's almost like a political campaign because
and different types of people.
There are groups. Honestly, when you're a developer and when you're doing redevelopment, you know more about the guy than his wife knows, because the guy gets completely exposed in front of you, and his real character comes out. So it was fun because you're dealing with so many different minds and you're playing mind games and you're negotiating with so many people. Obviously, you're doing it all in the best interest and ethically, but at the same time, it does require some sort of strategic and business bent of mind to be able to do that.
And it's like a PR exercise. You have to patao them basically.
It's about how you negotiate. Honestly, it's the kind of offer you make, and also your track record. Then, so that now precedes whatever else you want to offer. So that's what I started liking. I loved, making deals. I loved analyzing the financial,
So when the guys say no to your deal, how do you handle it? How do you try and put out them from that? The guys who are being hardball, like sticking to their guns, not willing to...
So there are different... See, right now, once you have 70%, they also know that you can go to court and drag them out. So I, in fact, have just taken off this project in Lokhandwala, 3rd Cross Lane, where we had about 72 members. All of them signed except one, and after signing the agreement, 15 of them started blackmailing us for something extra. Obviously, I didn't succumb to them, and we struck the deal in 2011. I've taken off the deal in 2015, so it took us 4 years. Because for the first couple of years, some regulations changed, and for about a year and a half, I was trying to ensure that I don't have to go to court and we amicably settle whatever we do. But that didn't happen. So then I went to court. It took us about a year and a half. We had to go right up to the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, who gave us the Mohit Shah.
A good friend.
So we...
Not really. He just played cricket in front of me once. Yeah.
So we finally got the order. I was standing in court that day, and we finally got the order, and they were asked to leave.
Amazing story, Sunny, because when we started this program, I was thinking, I just read some stuff in the morning and also was researching for our own TV show, and it's so anti-builder lobby, the way things are written, etc. But now coming from your perspective, I'm actually feeling bad for you. I'm just thinking, why would you be in a society with 60 people from different ethnicities and backgrounds and classes and all, and with all different ideas, who say one thing to your face, another thing on the phone or email or whatever, and imagine that could drain you. I was just thinking, after some time, I'm thinking, this guy must be drinking heavily just to survive his job.
Exactly why I asked you for beer on the show.
Yeah, fair enough. Now I'm going to serve it. We'll take a break while we find some beer. What the hell, yeah? But it's good to find this perspective because I think they all look at builders as bullies. Exactly. And very few people know what you have to go through when you're trying to do things by the book with all the different people who see opportunity and then become worse than the so-called stereotype builder.
So everyone thinks that there is a huge margin in this business right now. Honestly, the margin that we have is as much as our contractor has today. 35% of a project cost is official government cost.
Really?
So if $100
and when you say officially, let's move into the unofficially.
That varies project to project. But
how sweet, and he's smiling. He doesn't want to take panga with the government. Don't worry, they're all with us. The government also lives in buildings, brother. Tere paas aana padega.
Yeah, so if 100 square feet is my cost, 35 rupees of that goes to the government for official premiums. Then there is a land cost. So technically today, if I'm selling for say 110, my cost itself is 100. Or 100.
So you make 10%, same as my manager.
So honestly, the margins over here on the sale is not more than 10-15% today.
So here's the warning: if you want to be a builder, this is not the right time to join the market.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a seller, talk to Sunny Bijlani. He'll get you a good price and get your land from under you and build a nice building for everybody to live in perfect peace and harmony. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Lots more to talk about with Sunny, who's opening our eyes to a building lobby from the other side, which sounds disgusting, but what it means is they have their own problems too.
Well, hello there. I'm Naveen Narona. Do you ever think about what's it like growing up gay in India? What LGBT rights mean? What's happening to gay people around the world as we speak? Which diva inspired me to soar like an eagle? Well, it's time to get answers to all those questions, especially the diva one. Keeping It Queer will take a close look at the lives of ordinary LGBT heroes in India. People in the closet, people who tumbled out of it, and allies who support the movement in general. So come join me every Monday on a new episode of Keeping It Queer.
Yep, here with Sunny Bijlani, and he's telling us all about the life as a builder, and he's a victim, I got to tell you. I'm not joking anymore. Yeah, we're just discussing the word realty. I used to say reality or reality or whatever, but it's really realty.
Realty, yeah.
That's how you pronounce it, which is pakka chai in Lucknow. You go. Bad pun, but we'll move on. So, you've just explained to us this whole process, which is firstly, why would you get into it with such a small profit margin when you have so many risks and you deal with so many things and so much legal issues, and on top of that, so many different human beings with their mood swings, etc. This is worth it.
So this is honestly this business cycle. There have been good days and there will be good days going forward. So now the key is to strike the land deal at the right price. So if you know what a selling price is, you go back there and negotiate for the land a lot harder. Mm-hmm. So now whether it's a landowner or whether it's a society that you're redeveloping, you need to ensure that your costing is very rock solid and you know exactly what you can offer them. So most developers have gone wrong and lost money, or rather not made enough money, because the land buy has been wrong. So today, that's what you need to check.
Okay, but you're saying 2016, as we speak, when we are doing this, is not a great year for the market.
So it's not, the sale velocity is quite...
Why is that? There's
Because
less money in the world.
It's this business sentiment that's low, right? So today, if you look at corporate...
अच्छे दिन.
So
Sarji ने बोला ना कि अच्छे दिन आएंगे.
अच्छे दिन अब सिर्फ सपने में.
अच्छा ठीक है. सपने is also the name of a complex in Lokanwala. सपने, wing A, B, C, and C.
So it's not yet whatever the government is doing, honestly, has not yet reflected on the ground. Yeah, so I think you're about a year away before you can see all that happening. And
so you're saying in the next year or two, it'll be an upswing.
Yeah, there would be.
But is there in Mumbai, again, I'm speaking of Mumbai because as someone who's bought land here and all and suffered, I want to ask you, is there anything like a downslide in Mumbai, realty?
No. So because there's a cost side pressure, prices can't go below the cost.
Right.
There obviously will be some buffer between the cost and selling price. Because there's a cost side pressure, prices in Mumbai cannot correct beyond a point.
But are they ridiculous sometimes? Some of the prices in South Mumbai that you hear of, or in Bandra, BKC recently, are they all wrong pricing? Sometimes I can't believe 120,000 rupees a square foot and all. Is that real?
No. So the prices sound, the index sounds really high, but every mature market, you look at London, New York, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, all these markets, they've reached a particular point, and then from there on the growth is gradual. Like America grew substantially, and then from there on the growth rate was substantial. It doesn't plateau, but then grows very gradually. So Bombay, I feel, is a market where it's to some extent reached a very mature stage now. And from here on, you might not see 20-25% rise year on year, but you'll see a gradual increment year on year. But these prices are mainly because there's a supply side inflation. The supply in Bombay has always been restricted. That's why prices have reached where they have. And now the cost has caught up. So
but even today the supply is less. I thought there's so many buildings coming up.
But quality A-grade supply is restricted even today. That is opening up. The government is doing all to increase the amount you can construct and opening up land. And like you've read in the papers, they want to open up the NDZ areas to build more affordable housing. So it's mainly the cost side pressure, and the cost being so high. If I can't construct below a certain price, I can't supply the flats or the stock to you at a price below that. So that's the real reason why the prices in Bombay have.
Is there a thing like a best market within India? Like right now, would you say that it would be better in Delhi? It would be better in Bangalore?
No, Delhi, in fact, is in quite bad shape.
Gurgaon.
Right,
I don't know. Gurgaon had a big boost in the last 5 years.
But right now, the north is not doing too well. Bangalore is good.
Who do we blame? Akhilesh, Kejriwal? Who?
No,
give me names.
It's just the economic environment, honestly. And it's Bombay and Bangalore are two markets, honestly, which are
stable.
Are stable, which are still moving. In fact, we've seen a growth in the last quarter.
What are things like Northeast, East? I mean, how's it? We only live in this Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore world. What about the rest?
70% of your market is 4 cities. It's Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, and Calcutta.
Okay.
So 70% of India's market is these 3 or 4
Chennai,
cities.
Hyderabad?
And Chennai, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. So these 3 or 4 cities are, control 70% of the market. Rest, everything else, the entire appetite and purchasing capacity and the depth of the market is very restricted. And hence, it's not studied and not spoken about so much.
But there's people with money in Jamshedpur, there's people with money in Jabalpur.
Yes, 100%.
So why don't they have these big booms there?
The kind of construction that's happening there are not too many larger players there, and the volumes are very restricted. So the volumes are not so high for it to make news or for it to attract a lot of players. These markets that I spoke about are places where you have substantial amount of players, and that's what makes a market, and that's what creates the depth of the market. So that's, I'm sure there is a stock market in Finland or Lapland or whatever, but
there's no such thing as Lapland.
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about? This is your fantasy you're bringing in. This is not a studio for a lap dance, Baba. In Finland, yes, there is. Yeah. The bank broke there. But I want to ask you another question with this whole India power thing, this surge in India, in India economics and globalization within India and beyond. Is there a sense that you guys can now start developing abroad? Can Indian builders now, you also, but also the other names in the business, can we start having a serious hold of maybe building, real estate in the A-grade cities of the world?
Yeah, you're already seeing there are a few developers who've already now acquired land in London.
Don't say Subrata Roy because he's in trouble.
No. Oh. So there are other names as well who've acquired land in London, who are looking at projects there. There are a few Indian developers who've looked at projects in UAE.
Have they been successful? Do we have?
Few have, few haven't. But
Would you guys be interested?
honestly, real estate is a very localized market.
My sister has a little area in North Carolina. It's half an acre. I want to build something there.
We can strike a deal on that for sure.
Indians 10% extra.
I'd rather want to make a house and move there.
Yeah.
But so there is no restriction, honestly. It's the law of the land that governs.
But do you see that as a possibility that we start invading and going towards the other countries, towards the Western world and building things?
In real estate, and you've seen that even in India, in fact, the guys from the north of India try to go all over India and expand into projects all over, but they didn't succeed.
Right.
The reason is the real estate is a very localized business. You need to understand the market. You need to understand the regulation. You need to.
This is for the world also, not just
everywhere. You need to have your connections. You need to have a name established in that market. You need to have your entire bandwidth set up in that market.
You need to have parking. Otherwise, how will you have meetings? It's really embarrassing.
So it's a very localized business, and hence you need to have a very good local footprint. So for you to spread yourself thin is not the best strategy. A lot of bigger players in India have tried doing that and have failed. So you had DLF who tried to do projects in Bombay.
Yeah, what happened to DLF?
Yeah,
a couple of IPLs later they wiped out.
so they tried to do projects here in Bombay, but they realized that they rather be in the stronger foothold and not look at projects here, because it's not very easy to just spread yourself thin and understand regulation and understand land laws of different states. So
do you look up to any other builders? Are they like how we have heroes in cricket or whatever, or say in comedy I would have this one, that one?
I think the corporates are really changing the game for us. I think Godrej,
good or bad?
Good, in a very good way. I think Godrej is doing a fantastic job. So they're
and people are following the blueprint of letter of the law and all that now.
Yeah, so now everybody is.
By the way, we have a flat in Planet Godrej. Don't tell anyone. Huh?
So now, in fact, the regulation itself is making it very watertight for all developers. The industry, in fact, is going through an overhaul as far as regulation is concerned. So everyone is going to be straitjacketed. So it's going to be, one law that fits everybody. The buyer is going to benefit ultimately. I'm sure you read of the Real Estate Regulation Act that got passed in the Rajya Sabha.
Yeah.
So that is,
which means in another 6 years it will actually come into power, but that's not the point. I want to ask you the main question here, which I've not asked you and I'm dying to ask you is, so you must be having a flat on the side where you take your friends and have a little party and all that.
I call them home. Yeah.
But the wife is at home.
No, I'm not married. I'm still smiling.
What are you saying, Sunny? Ki haal hai, yaar? That's good stuff. Okay, Sunny, let's talk a little bit personal now. Yeah. Enough of the builder lobby, the reverse builder lobby. You're telling us your problems. What's Sunny like? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I have my...
It's almost like describing a season. What's Sunny like?
Right now,
windy.
Right now, Sunny is feeling really hot. So I'm trying to get out of this country as soon as I can.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Paris. I'm going for the French Open semi-final.
Wow.
And then I'm going to Manchester to watch Coldplay.
Oh man, you really suffer. What a life. And then you come back and you deal with some 50 guys in Lokanwala.
So we deserve... I deserve that, I guess, after all the hammering that we
you going with a big gang?
Yeah, I'm just going with a couple of friends, honestly.
Yeah?
So
they're going to paint Paris red. Paris has become very popular this season for some reason with Indian travelers. Yeah. I was going through the list because I went to the wrong visa office. That's another story for another day. But very popular, France. I'm wondering if the rates have come down for, all the things that have happened. And hence Indians have gone there. I don't want to be cynical. But after the tsunami, the highest number of tourists to Thailand immediately, because the rates came down and the Westerners didn't want to go. Who? Us Indians. Don't worry. And in any case, what do we do on a beach wearing long pants and full sleeves and belt and walking around in Thailand looking like monkeys? Everybody else is these Russian guys with their bellies on their knees. And then you have the Indian guy who's dressed like he's going in for an interview, as a land developer, by the way. Yeah. So Paris, my friend.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'll give you some numbers. I know a couple of lesbian tennis players. They're great fun. You want to hang out with them. And this is not being a stereotype, but there's plenty
I'd
of
love
that.
to be in their court, really.
Yeah? Mixed triples. What the hell will you do? And as a good Sindhi businessman, you'll offer them a deal, right? Malad mein hai, only women's society. Come and try it. And servants have their own lift. We Indians, we separate people. Yeah, brother. Okay, great talking to you, my friend. What about girls? Yeah, how come you're not married? Parents don't put pressure on you?
No, I'm dating someone.
But approved? Stamp? Accepted?
It's approved from my end. I don't know anyone else. But so
don't start fighting with your dad again. You have to go back to this ambit RSM. I know the job's waiting for you.
No. So they're quite cool about that. And so there's no pressure.
If I can ask you, is there any wedding on the cards or still time?
Not at all.
Is she coming with you for the French Open?
Yeah, she is.
So it's not so open, the French thing.
So yeah, she is. But no, there's nothing on the cards.
Wow.
No talk about the future.
Are you a Coldplay fan or that just happened because somebody got the tickets?
I like Coldplay.
All right.
Also, a friend was going and she hooked us up, and then that's all.
Anyway, nice talking to you, Sunny. It's been a
Likewise.
great revelation, I think, just to understand the builders have their own problems, because I think it's a really one-sided perspective that you get.
It is.
I wanted to ask you one last question, a more technical question again, because in Noida we have this scam going. We have the Dhoni issue. Poor chap was dragged in because, he's just the brand ambassador. I honestly think they're victims. So how the hell are they responsible for the building? But lots of these promises from the big builders and the big names, and they don't deliver. They make you pay the payments, and you have a lot of these people who are depleted financially because they're paying on time, and the guy just keeps lengthening the whole process of delivery. So this has just happened in Noida this week, for example, and this happens every week across India. What about that? Isn't there a way to stop that trend?
So now, that exactly what I told you, that now the regulation that the government
No, but I'm
has
talking
passed,
about the ones that are already there. So now what's going to happen to them?
no, all of them are going to be regulated. So all the older projects also that have not been
So if
completed.
they've said 2015 delivery, what do you do then? And the guy's still waiting.
No, so there are penalties on the developer as well. See, a lot of there are obviously issues where the developers have gone wrong in planning, but in some cases also regulation has played spoilsport. So regulations have changed. We are subject to Cyrus. Honestly, any random circular that can come and impact our timeline for approval, can impact our costing. So these things, at times you're constructing a project and suddenly there is something new that will spring up for which you have to go and run for approvals.
Is it true you guys have to get over 80 permissions in Mumbai? Some ridiculous sum like that before you start building?
Little more than that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, crosses 100?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Why do you do this? Just stay in France.
So also, honestly,
so will they get possession? All these promised flats who are 2, 3, 4, 5 years behind in some cases, pan India, will they get possession? Will those guys get their money back?
Every project honestly has their own story. So if there's a litigation on the project, it depends on what the litigation is and how soon that will get cleared. As far as approvals are concerned, if they are stuck for approvals and if it's within the regulatory framework, I feel that in time all of them would be given at least the due approvals, because the government is honestly very clear that.
One final question: what is a better idea of your advice? Ready to make ready-made flat or being constructed flat? What do you invest in?
If you trust the developer, and if no, honestly, if,
that's now we're doing comedy. What do you? It's not my dad.
No, but if it's a trusted name, honestly,
Right.
has delivered in the location, then there is no real reason why you should have that on your mind. But also, not only making a choice with the developer, you have to also look at your finances. If there's that kind of money you want to put down, or you want to stagger your payment and pay during the pendency of construction.
Correct.
So that's the decision you need to really make.
Right.
Also, yeah.
Okay, so very diplomatically played. He's ready for his European tour. That's Sunny Bijlani for you. We thank you, sir. But we asked you to stay back. We have a thing called the AMA. A young producer, Amit Doshi, who doesn't have a flat and is looking for a home. He's like a homeless puppy at the moment. He's going to come in and ask some questions. Let's have some fun.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
On the AMA is Sunny. This man is called Amit Doshi. He's looking for a flat in Lokanwala.
Yeah, man. Well, no,
He wants single male neighbors only.
Car, man. I want car, dude.
Yeah, car, exactly. Office is there.
The office is there, no?
Have you constructed here? You said Western suburbs.
We do a lot of work in Carbandra, actually.
Oh,
there you go.
Excellent. So we'll work out a deal.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
You may have to stay with an old uncle, but
That's all right, man. I can live with that as long as I don't have to spend the 2 hours a day in the car
with the old uncle.
with the old uncle.
All right.
All right. So the first question is: have you caught up with Louis C.K.'s new show, Horace and Pete?
Oh, that's the show's name. I thought there were two guys called Horace and Pete. No. Is he in it or is he producing it?
So it's actually a really interesting story. You're not familiar with it. So this was a surprise show. Like no publicity, nothing. All of a sudden, one day he just dropped this show that these are 10 episodes. Go watch them.
Yeah.
And it's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's got Jessica Lange.
What happened to the police
Edie
academy
Falco.
guy? Where's he been?
No, Steve Buscemi is not the police. That's Steve Gutenberg.
Gutenberg is Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi is the Reservoir Dog guy.
There you go. All right. That's so much for my
Boardwalk
knowledge.
Empire guy. That guy.
Stop showing off of it. Leave it.
Okay. So, but basically, it was
Sunny doesn't know.
All right. So he just basically just put the show together in like complete secrecy, and then just dropped the episodes. Like, hey, go watch it. And it's internet only. You buy the shows online. It's like $3 per episode.
Is Louis C.K. acting or just producing?
No, he's in it. He's in it. He's in it.
Is
too.
Horace or Pete?
I think he's Pete.
Oh man.
Yeah,
All right.
I think he's.
So
Pete.
who's Horace?
Steve Buscemi. They're brothers.
God. not Gutenberg. Yeah, I could have won that one.
All right, so I guess you're not from here, but okay. So I guess that
Is it funny?
answers that
Did you see
question.
it?
It's depressing. It's dark.
But even towards the
Even
end,
his show is dark,
The
yeah.
show was
Yeah.
getting more and more
Yeah,
dark.
his show is his humor is dark.
Humor
right?
is
I mean,
dark,
like,
Like,
what do
you know, a kid dying and this and that. What the hell?
yeah, no, he's
Scary.
Yeah, he goes places.
He's the reason why we take drugs.
That makes sense. All right. The second question we have is: so I was reading in the newspaper about a Pap Mukti certificate which I can get for ₹1 by donating it to a Shiva temple. What do you think about these things?
He should ask him because I
Pap
think
Mukti
A
certificate.
Pap Mukti
So
certificate.
you get
freedom
rid of
from
your
sins.
freedom
Yeah.
from sin. So you give a ₹1 donation and you are now free from sins for the day.
So you absolved. That's the right word.
Absolved. Okay.
Is this
No,
this
for
could be
real.
this should be
real.
listed on the stock exchange? Damn it! It's gonna have crazy valuation.
That's what I'm thinking too, right? I mean, like, this is the business model.
Now, this is for builders, brother. Anybody feeling they've done a lot of bad things in their life, there's one certificate, $1.
I seriously, and yeah, $1. That means volumes, right? I mean,
But
like,
do you have to pay service tax?
this Pap Mukti, yeah, I'm guessing it is a service, right? The
There you
priest
go.
is providing
Of
the
course it
service
is.
of
100%.
making you Pap Mukt. So, yeah, so then I
Does he
think so.
do anything? He just gives you a certificate. There's no prayer involved.
Maybe he does. Like, hey, Pap Mukti,
What
Pap
if
Mukti,
I
Pap
give him
Mukti.
$2 so I don't have a prayer? You don't have to sit through the whole prayer thing.
That I think, but then how do you get the Pap Mukti certificate?
Is there like a prepaid thing? You pay like $10 and you
Pay
can do 10
$10 and
things.
do 10 days at a time? I think that I could go for, man. Let's do.
I think prepaid. See, he thinks on his feet. Prepaid makes a lot of sense. You
It
keep,
does.
Yeah,
You get the whole
$100
year
every week.
done.
You pile it up and then you do what you
Yeah.
want.
No, you do the whole year, right? 365 rupees for the year.
You
You're
should have a
done.
better deal than that. You should be $200 for
Yeah,
the
you're
year.
right. For the year, because you're paying, you're doing the prepaid thing,
I
right?
mean,
You are.
what are you doing, man? You're
I'm
not
sorry.
thinking anymore.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
Horace and Peters made you to go to the dark corridor of Louis C.K.'s mind. Leave it to us.
No,
We're
but
the
no, you're
financials.
right. Absolutely, $200. $200 for the full year. I think that
works, I think.
$200 you can buy our show, man.
Cyrus and me are in. You can book us, right?
He's going to France to see the French Open with his girlfriend.
Hey,
I'm
so-
going to Munich to meet my sister-in-law with my mother-in-law.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But what is this solid waste High Court decision thing that's going on? What's going on with this, man? I mean, like,
I thought
how
Cyrus
is...
would ask me that.
He did actually ask you to ask, but I forgot. So we'll ask now.
Yeah.
So you've read about the Devnar dump, right? The fire in the
Yeah,
Devnar dump.
yeah.
And that's recurring again and again.
Right.
So what the High Court has said, the BMC had to have a waste management plant some light years ago.
Okay.
And they've kept on asking for an extension and they don't have a plant yet. So because of that, the dump is lying in the open. It's lying on vacant land.
Okay.
And that has
Leading to disease and environmental
so now
hazard.
the High Court has said, until and unless you don't have a waste management plan to treat this waste into some sort of energy, you cannot give approvals for new construction in Bombay. So as we stand today, apart from the projects that already have approval or have applied for approval,
Okay.
new projects cannot get approvals till this ban is lifted.
Okay, but so they're not stopped buildings which are going on.
No. It's quite a balanced order. That
Okay,
way,
all right. Okay, so then that's
He's
somewhat
very
reasonable.
pro-government, at least on a public
Yeah,
platform.
Well, he's
I
a
can tell you.
builder. He knows.
I think he should be a lawyer.
He knows where his bread is
Yeah,
buttered.
he does.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's a little more reasonable. I thought they stopped work on like all existing
No.
projects. If something's going on, stop it. Okay.
No, they won't do that.
Oh,
They
okay.
in fact did that in Kalyan Dombivli
Okay.
a year and a half back, and they've just lifted the ban. So for 1.5 years, there was no approval for new construction there.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Amit, you're just dying to buy a flat in Kalyan Dombivli, so I don't know what the hell happened there.
I honestly think I've been to Kalyan, but I don't think I've ever been to Dombivli.
You need to leave Tuesday for Wednesday. I'm telling you right now.
I will try.
All right, I think that's it. We've wrapped
That's
it
it.
up.
I think we're good.
Sunny, thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Have
so
fun
much.
on your summer
Thanks a
holiday and
lot.
come back and talk to us with news from the world of construction.
100%. Thanks a lot.
It's an interesting conduit for us to
It
find
is
out what's going on.
One connection.
All right. Bye-bye. Here's the sound of a building crash. Okay, catch us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Beyond Pod, any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you, we need you. If you have any questions, write to us online and you can mail us as well. We will answer. We have a doctor in the house called me.
And that's what Cyrus says.
All right, Cyrus Says is wrapping up, but we have Geek Fruit, which we want you to check out, hosted by Uber Geeks Tejas Menon and Jishnu Guha. They're like Simon and Garfunkel, except they're Tejas and Jishnu, and they can't sing. No, they can actually. And they talk about geek culture. If you're a geek, want to know about geeks, or live with a geek, or just next to Turkey is geek, go ahead, my friends. Listen to Geek Fruit.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.